Welcome, everyone, back to Mayhemtainment. I am your host, JD, alongside the new Senior Marvel Correspondent, Robby, and who is also, just so you know, he is the artist that drew the American Cross, what I'm currently wearing. This is available on the Boiling Point podcast, our sister show's storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point podcast, all in lowercase letters. That's our sister show. You can find them on YouTube and Rumble, as well as us. Just search Mayhem Media on YouTube or Rumble, and you can find us. And we're also on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter at MayhemPrez. Robby, welcome back to Mayhemtainment. You were our first guest on the very first Mayhemtainment when we actually branded the show that name, and it's good to have you back now. We discussed Batman in the first one, and it was a pretty popular episode if you look at our views. And I'm hoping this one's going to be good. This one's going to be the Spiderverse episode. We're going to be talking about all the different Spider-Mans and now how they... Spoiler alert. If anybody haven't seen all the Spider-Mans, don't watch this episode. You should stop watching right now. You should go watch the Spider-Mans and then come back and watch this episode. Spoiler alert. Since the last Spider-Man was obviously a multiverse kind of an episode movie, with bringing all the Spider-Mans in, multiple villains from the old movies in. It was a great movie, and we're going to get to that a little bit later on, but we wanted to talk, that's why we wanted to do this episode, talk about the Spiderverse and where the MCU might go from here. So, Robby, let's start at the beginning. Let's start with Tobey Maguire and his Spider-Man, who I think is a pretty good Peter Parker, but a really bad Spider-Man.
I saw it the other way around. I liked him as Spider-Man, but not as Peter Parker. I thought he was whiny, cried too much. I just didn't care for him as Spider-Man. Peter Parker at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, let's not jump ahead, but I think the opposite about Andrew Garfield. I think he was an excellent Spider-Man, but I don't think he played that good of a Peter Parker.
I liked him better than Tobey. But Tom Holland, I like him the best so far.
Absolutely. We both can agree on that. Tom Holland is certainly playing the best all-around Peter Parker / Spider-Man, the whole role, because I think that's what Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield lacked the most was they weren't a good at one or the other. Of course, now with the multiverse it's a great addition. Spider-Man being really the only character who has had multiple versions of the movies done. I thought that was ingenious of Marvel to use the multiple Spider-Mans to start introducing us to the multiverse.
I think it was a great idea.
Yeah, with all the different versions of the Spider-Mans, there's nobody else. We don't have any other thing. And now I think they're going to also use this to bring in the X-Men's.
The possibility they're talking about bringing in X-Men and other Marvel characters, it'd be fun to watch.
Absolutely, yeah. It's only going to get better, I think, as long as they keep the woke crap. As long as they keep the woke crap out of the Marvel movies.
Well, that's not going to
happen. Well, it has so far. We haven't had too much woke stuff yet, have we?
It's been a little bit.
I guess the changing of a few characters in Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Obviously, MJ is not anything. She's not any kind of MJ that we have ever seen before.
Well, she's not really Mary Jane though. She's what is it, Michelle Jones?
Yeah, Michelle Jones, or something like that. Yeah, right. But we're jumping ahead a little bit. So, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, they brought in with the multiverse Spider-Man. They brought in Doc Ock and the Green Goblin, two excellent villains to bring into the Spider-Man verse episode movie. What are your thoughts on the whole Tobey Maguire thing? Who do you think? Who's your favorite villain, or what are your thoughts on your best Tobey Maguire movie?
I guess it would still be Green Goblin for me on Tobey Maguire. That or the Sandman. I liked Sandman a bit. I think he was more accurate to comics looks and the way he acted and being a tragic character.
They got an excellent actor who definitely did a great job as Sandman. I will definitely say that. In the third movie,
he was itself for his movie kind of.
Yeah.
It was below average.
Yeah, the third Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, was a terrible movie in my opinion. They had Venom in it. It was terrible. It was just an all-around bad movie, but he was a highlight. He did do Sandman very, very well, and I did like that. I think Willem Dafoe is an amazing actor. So him coming back as a Green Goblin, I couldn't believe that because I didn't know. I tried to avoid as much as possible before I saw it, and I knew that there were going to be multiple Spider-Mans. I knew that they brought in villains from the other movies as well, but I didn't know which ones they brought in. I was able to avoid that somehow. So when I saw Willem Dafoe come back, I said, "Holy cow! I can't believe they got Willem Dafoe to come back for this."
Well, I did. I stopped watching previews years ago to movies.
Yeah.
I don't because it gave away. I forgot what movie I was looking forward to, and it gave away the whole movie. So if I can avoid it, I don't watch them. So
I try too, but because of the amount of stuff that I have to do for the podcast pages on social media, you just can't avoid. There's some things you just can't avoid. You're reading something because you know, oh, am I going to post this? Should I share this? Let me read over it. Is this a good story? And then you're like, ah, crap. There's going to be, damn, they got Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I didn't want to know that. But yeah, that's it. Sometimes I just can't avoid it. Sometimes I just can't avoid it. And I do have trouble not doing research and seeing where storylines might go and where movies might go, which I'm going to ruin some more things a little bit later. So remember, if you don't want things ruined, turn this episode off. Andrew Garfield, The Amazing Spider-Man. I think he was a good Amazing Spider-Man. I liked it with, I can't remember what his MJ was, but it's not MJ. It's,
that was Gwen Stacy.
Yep, Gwen Stacy. Yep, that's right.
Emma
And I
Stone.
thought, go ahead.
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, yeah. And I thought both those movies were fantastic. The actors, the actresses, I thought those movies were good. Lizard was a little bit, but iffy for me. But I think everything else was pretty good for those movies.
I like the Andrew Garfield movies better than I did the Sam Raimi movies. I've never been a fan of the Sam Raimi movies, like talking about when it first came out. When the first Spider-Man came out, yeah, it was amazing. I went to the theaters and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never cared for the Peter Parker. I've never cared for the way they do the stories, and I don't really care for the characters they choose to play for the different characters. I did not like Kirsten Dunst. I didn't like any of them.
I like Kirsten Dunst in the first one, but it looked like movies 2 and 3 were a phone-in for her.
Right.
That's what I think the problem was. She just didn't want to do the second and third ones, and she was probably under contract.
Right. Well, the special effects and everything for its time was wonderful.
Oh yeah, amazing.
I mean, you never seen anything like that. But once again, the feel of those movies, I just didn't like. It was something about it I just didn't care for. And everybody thinks I'm crazy, like you do about me and the Joker. But yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I've never.
But I'm with you on the Spider-Mans though. Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans were not; those three movies were not excellent movies. And shooting the web right out of his wrists, that has never. I did some research. That's the first time that's ever been a Spider-Man, except for when Peter Parker mutates into the gigantic spider. Other than that, there's no Spider-Man has ever shot webs right out of his wrists.
I didn't care for the organic webs too much myself. I mean, I did like parts of the movie, like when he was first trying to learn it, he's like, web, go, and stuff like that. I mean, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I love the scene where they're with the fight with Flash Gordon. I'm not Flash Gordon, but Flash Thomas inside the school where everything went slow-mo. I mean, all of it was pretty good. The part where he drops the food and catches it with when MJ drops food and he catches it with the tray, he actually does that. But it was, I mean, in real life, he did that. That wasn't special effects. That was done with, I think, magnets or weights or something for it to be able to stick to the tray.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. I do agree that the effects, especially the way they used his Spidey sense, I thought that was excellent in the first movies. I do like the way they did that. That was pretty cool, the way they slowed things down for him. You know what I mean? I like that very much, yeah. The Andrew Garfield one, was a little bit more of an accurate portrayal, even of the Amazing Spider-Man, certainly. And I can't believe they got Jamie Foxx to come back for the Multiverse Spider-Man episode. Jamie Foxx back as Shocker. I couldn't believe that.
Well, the The thing that got me with him, and it's not Shocker, it's Electro.
You're right. It's Electro. I was just, you
Oh,
know what? I was just thinking that in my head. I'm like,
I
I
hate
think
that
he's about to
Electro.
correct me. I
Yeah.
think he's about to correct me. Not
But
Shocker,
I'm
Electro.
surprised he came back because from what I've read in reviews and everything from the movie, not a lot of people liked his take on Electro, which I didn't. And the take that they did use was from like the I want to say Ultimate Spider-Man, but I can't remember
Yeah.
per se because he did have this bluish look and he's more electrical. A lot of people wanted the green suit and the little
Yeah.
star or whatever you want to call it on his mask or whatever.
Yeah.
And not everything translates well on film.
Yeah.
That's why for so long we didn't have what superheroes really look like. Like Batman was all black because the gray suit didn't translate to film.
Yeah.
The X-Men wore the leather or the pleather or whatever you want to call it because
Yep.
all that stuff wouldn't translate. So for him, it wouldn't translate for the original. In the newer movie, they do an homage for it, where homage, whatever you want to call it, when they have the electrical grid going around it and
Yep.
it kind of pops up for a second. But I'm telling you, I mean, I liked him as Electro in the last movie better than I did the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. But you've got to remember, I mean, the thing now, the thing that I would like to point out to you though is that, and we don't know this. This is going to be speculation, complete speculation here. But we don't know for sure what the producers, the directors told these characters about what might have happened between, from the time, because there's obviously some time between the end of the Tobey Maguire movies and when the events in Spider-Man No Way Home happen.
It would have had to
And
be
I'm,
some time. It would have
yeah,
had to for them
it,
to for him to himself to be evolved to what he was. There would have had to been time.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know how much time had passed between let's say the end of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans and the events in Spider-Man No Way Home, nor for the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans and the events of No Way Home. We don't know how much time passed between the end of those and when we see them in No Way Home. So I think I like how each of the characters, even the villains, kind of changed. Although the villains were a little bit phone in. They were a little bit generic, I think. I think I would say that about across all of them. I mean, the Green Goblin's crazy, just like he always is. Doc Ock, because of the arms, makes him crazy. Like it was just a little generalized. Some of the villains
kind of got the same characters, the same circumstances in the movies, the newer movies, from the old movies. One thing about the new movie I didn't care for was how strong Green Goblin was compared to how he was in the original.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like Superman strong compared to
Yeah.
what he did.
You're absolutely right. They did kind of give him some super strength on that. Although they tried to make him, I guess, the primary villain.
Well, they did.
Him and Electro are obviously the primary big villains of that movie, No Way Home. So Tom Holland, let's go to the Tom Holland Spider-Mans now. Obviously the best of both worlds, Spider-Man, Peter Parker. And we both agree on that, which I thought we agreed on a lot more comic book stuff, but it's turning out that we don't agree as much as I thought we did. But at least we agree on Tom Holland as Spider-Man and him being the best Spider-Man.
Well, the Tom Holland Spider-Man, I like the young Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I like him to look young like he does. Tobey Maguire, he looked way too old for the part he was playing. Andrew Garfield, I mean, he looked about where he needed to be.
Yeah.
But I still said he never looked like Peter Parker.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted, and I mean, it's just because I'm a classic fan as well. I still want to see the Peter Parker with the glasses and kind of like the sweater and kind of nerdy.
Yeah.
Trying to make him more modern, which is cool. But I still want to see that nerdiness in him.
Yeah. I think Tom Holland definitely brings that out the most, even as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. I think that brings it out the most. Now, about Tom Holland, Spider-Man's Homecoming was a fantastic movie, excellent movie. Iron Man is in that. Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is in that, which makes it great. It gets a little bit weird when he gets the metal suit and he's got the female AI.
All right, so that's the one thing that I do not like about the newer movies is the whole technology suit crap. I like old fashioned, just pretty much spandex Spider-Man. Um, it didn't take away from the movie for me. I mean, it did add some stuff, but I still prefer like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah. So we were talking about the Spider-Man suits. You like more the spandex than the artificial one, the Iron Man one, if you would.
But I did like the Iron Spider suit that did come out in like the Avengers and stuff with the that's pretty accurate. But when it comes to the actual just him going around New York and stuff, spandex Spidey.
Well, in No Way Home, he went through a couple of suits in No Way Home, which I thought was kind of cool because he had his regular suit and realized that what he was up against wasn't going to do it. I think they're kind of going with that. I think he'll stick to the spandex, when he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and I think we're going to see the Iron suit come out when it's something bigger. Especially that since he has control over the satellite. Tony gave him control over the Stark tech.
Which most people disagree, but I'm kind of tired of the Iron Man tie-in to Spider-Man. So I want to say that computer program was called like Eden or something like that.
Edith.
I can't remember. Edith. That's what it is. And I mean, I understand why Iron Man has it. But why would Iron Man leave that to a kid?
Well, I think that's more of an Avengers thing than Stark Industries.
Right.
Oh, I think that's why. And really, who is he going to? Like Peter Parker said, what was I saying? I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm trying to look something up too and do this, and I shouldn't do that at the same time. I should throw it to my guest and let him talk while I look something up.
You were talking about Edith.
Yeah.
Part of the Avengers.
Separate from the Stark Tech and the Avengers. I think that's why he gave the glasses to Peter. And I do believe we don't really get too much confirmation on the tertiary stuff, but I think Pepper Potts would still be running Stark Industries, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And what I wanted to look up, and I'm sorry, that's what messed me up in the first place, but I wanted to look up what Edith stood for because I think it's pretty cool. And it says, "Even dead, I'm the hero," which is, I think, pretty cool. It's a pretty cool throwback. But I think you're right. I don't think we're going to keep seeing those. I think that was kind of going to be a one-off thing. I mean, I think we're going to still get Stark Industries will still be involved. I think Stark Tech will still be around. But I don't think there's going to be so many references to Iron Man in future movies, even with Spider-Man. I think that was kind of their. I think No Way Home, was it No Way Home or Far From Home, whichever one. Far From Home, that was the one with the glasses. And I think that was kind of an homage to everything that Robert Downey Jr. did for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because it really was. I mean, without him, it was built upon him. Iron Man 1 being the first MCU movie, and the success of that fueled everything else, fueled the Thors, and took us to the first Avengers movie. So, I mean, without him killing it, and just killing it as Iron Man, we probably wouldn't have the MCU that we have today.
I agree. I mean, I don't think they could have picked anybody better to play Tony Stark than Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, no way. Yeah, no way. That's why I'm hoping they don't recast any Iron Man. I don't want to see a new Iron Man. Just like I don't want to see a new Captain America either. I don't care what people say.
You're going to get the female Iron Man now. I cannot remember her name because I've never read the books. But you're going to have a younger female Iron.
I only accept that if it's going to be his daughter that he had in the MCU.
It's not supposed to.
I don't care if it's supposed to be. I'm just telling you what I want, damn it.
I understand.
Yeah, no, I think trying to replace Iron Man in any sort of way is definitely bad right now. I don't think I think you got to wait some time before you try and do that. The same with Captain America.
Well, I
And
don't
now,
think
go
they need
ahead.
to replace anybody. They still have certain characters continuing movies. Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
It just came out. Wonderful movie. I loved it. But you
I
can't sit there and come out with another Iron Man to be part of this universe, even with the multiverse.
yeah,
It's just kind of be shoddy, in my opinion. It'd be kind of like putting a band-aid on something that broke and it wasn't broken.
yeah.
So if you're going to continue with Thor, uh, even if you continue with
Well, I believe Chris Hemsworth is going to be playing Thor until they don't want him to anymore, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he re-signed a new deal after his like 12 movie deal that he already had. So I'm pretty sure Chris Hemsworth is going to be Thor for the foreseeable future for at least probably the next 10 years.
and I don't hate that. I mean, he's not
No, he's
Thor,
going to be,
the comic book Thor that we know, but they made him more fun.
yeah.
And I mean, I kind of dig it because I didn't like the original Thor, like in the comic books. When the Thor movies came out, I was like,
I'm not a
nobody's
Thor.
going to care for him because Thor is back in the 60s and 70s and he's not a big character anymore. And they made him a big character. And that's actually a matter of fact between all these Avengers.
Yeah, all of them. They're
Uh,
all B-listers.
and you and I, we used to go play at Nanny's house, and we
Yep.
were different superheroes. Never once were we Hawkeye.
No.
Never once were we Thor. We were always Wolverine,
Wolverine.
Cyclops,
Yep.
uh,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, or Iron Man, or something like that.
Yeah, Iron
So
Man would be
I
about
love
the,
how they're
yeah.
bringing smaller characters back. One of my favorite characters that they've made in the Marvel universe is Ant-Man. I
Mm.
enjoy those movies so
Well,
much. And Paul Rudd, never really thought too much of him before those movies. Love him to death.
I think what he showed me in the Ant-Man movies, I was a fan of Paul Rudd, but I didn't know how he would be I'm like, he might be a little too cartoonish for the MCU. So I was a little concerned about Paul Rudd too, but I think he plays a great Scott Lang. And I like how he doesn't play Hank Pym. I like how he plays Scott Lang. And I like how they got I'm totally drawing a blank and I'm gonna kick myself as soon as I hear it. The guy that plays Hank Pym. Kirk Douglas.
Kirk Douglas.
Um,
I mean,
he
I thought they did fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. He was great in that. Kirk Douglas was great as Hank Pym, and I think Paul Rudd plays a great Scott Lang in the Ant-Mans. Yeah, and I think they got a great cast with the Ant-Mans as well. Though getting a little off there, so let's get back to the Spider-Mans. Let's
One
talk
more
about
thing.
Oh,
One more
go
thing.
ahead. Yeah.
Ant-Man's buddy, I can't think of his name, the Hispanic guy. I think he needs to give you a intro to every movie. And
He should.
I think that would be hilarious. Just have him recap you at the beginning of every movie. There you go.
I would love to just see him recap the entire MCU.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know his name off the top of my head. He is very good. I am gonna look his name up, so I'm gonna throw it to you. Let's talk about the Spider-Mans, the Spider-Verse No Way Home. Oh, what, you got something?
Well, if you want to continue on, we didn't speak of Mysterio yet from Far From Home. What did you think about Jake Gyllenhaal
I
as
hate Jake Gyllenhaal. If you were not aware of this, and anybody who knows me personally is laughing their ass off right this second that you just asked me about Jake Gyllenhaal. Trust me, they are laughing. They're still laughing. They're belly laughing. It's huge. I am not at all a Jake Gyllenhaal
the movie?
fan.
I liked the man.
He played a
I don't think
fantastic
either
douchebag in the movie.
good actors, but um, I like what I grew up with. I'm very big on the stories and stuff that we grew up with.
Yeah.
So the Mysterio that I always liked was a failed actor and special effects specialist and stuff like that. And where they made him where he was working for Stark and Stark used his technology, and basically the acronym for it was like shit or turd or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that was kind of a stupid thing to go on for the movie. I mean, it's kind of funny because that's totally what Tony Stark would do. But for the mayhem that he caused, just because he's a little pissed off.
Yeah, I don't really care for the Mysterio character either. And I don't know that much about the Mysterio character, actually. That's one Spider-Man villain that I am not up on. I don't know him very well. I do not know his origins or his story very well. So I'm not really familiar with his whole backstory. But I mean, I'm not a Jake Gyllenhaal fan. I think he played a fine, douchebag in the movie. That's what he does best. He plays good douchebags. It's about the only thing I think he does good. But in terms of the story, I thought it was a little bit weird, that he had worked for Stark and then, got fired.
It's been done before.
Yeah, although the thing I did kind of think was that kind of saved it a little bit is that he wasn't the only one. I like how he kind of got a bunch of different people from the other movies who something had happened to. I thought that was kind of a cool the way they like to include the continuity.
Well, my wife always gets mad because I point out the same person in every movie. But his little buddy that was helping him with all the tech stuff was the little boy from the Christmas Story.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I didn't know that. That's hilarious. That's great. Yeah, I definitely didn't know that. Oh, and Michael Pena is the name of Ant-Man's Paul Rudd, Ant-Man's Hispanic friend in the movies. His name is Michael Pena. Michael Pena Lewis. Michael Pena Lewis.
Yeah.
And so shout out Michael Pena Lewis and shout out Nanny Edmonds because we mentioned her a little bit earlier. So where do you think, I don't think there was anything else I wanted to talk about regarding the Spider-Mans. Where do you think we've gotten the multiverse now? My biggest concern with the multiverse, obviously, is them trying to do what we talked about earlier, recasting people to play characters.
And I believe they do that to a degree. I think it's all going to go to a point where the characters that we know and love as those characters, like Chris Hemsworth, Robert Downey Jr., Chris
Hemsworth.
There you go. All these people, I think they're all going to be kind of pushed aside with younger, newer Avengers if they don't do a young Avengers, which they have done. Because you have the show that came on around Christmas last year, the Hawkeye show.
I didn't get to see the Hawkeye show yet. That's one I'm behind on.
I loved it. I did not like Hawkeye in the movies.
Really?
I loved the show. And Haley Seinfeld played as the trainee Hawkeye, which she's going to have her own identity and all that stuff. And I don't want to get into it because I don't know enough about it to really go.
Yeah, we'll save that for another episode. We'll save Hawkeye discussion.
She's going to be part of like the new Avengers, and they're bringing in other people in different series. So they're either going to be a movie or a TV series of these young Avengers pretty soon.
Yes. Let's just because since we're talking about the multiverse for a second, little expansion here. Let's talk about the in No Way Home. We saw that they are in fact that Marvel is in fact at least with Daredevil is going to include the Netflix series as official MCU canon. That is probably the biggest. I mean, that's not the biggest, but that was a huge.
Daredevil. I don't care what anybody says. He is Daredevil.
Oh, absolutely. I am so like you were saying about how you weren't a fan of who was it, Thor before the movies. I have hated every incarnation. I hate every Daredevil I've ever seen. I don't like him in video games. I am so not a Daredevil fan at all. And
opposite. I've always thought he was cool. But see, where I like to draw and stuff, when they show him in comic books where he's jumping off the building, he's upside down, and his baton's kind of swirling and stuff, I've always liked the way that looked. And then he's always fighting for like the people and the projects and stuff. And then he has the whole he's a lawyer. He doesn't care about the money. He just wants to help the underdog.
Yeah.
So And with the Netflix show, I don't think that they could have gotten better.
Oh my goodness,
There
no.
was a few things that I didn't care for towards the last season, and that was more. Like I said, I'm a comic book fan, so I like the suits. That's why I watch the stuff. So I want to see the suits, and they had Bullseye on there, and he wasn't really suited up as Bullseye, but that was like the beginning of him. He was dressed up as another character that I will not spoil it, but I mean, it was still badass.
Yeah.
And
he is the guy that they got to play him, Daredevil. I wasn't a fan of Daredevil. I hated Daredevil. I didn't like him in video games, didn't like him anywhere. That series made me a fan. I'm as long as he's playing Daredevil, I'll be a fan of Daredevil. And I think that was fantastic that they got him, that they brought him over from Netflix to continue as Daredevil. And that was a great cameo.
Ecstatic when I found out. I was very disappointed when I found out Netflix dropped it, and I was afraid we wouldn't get this incarnation of Daredevil again.
Yeah,
I heard about it for Disney, and I'm like, hell yeah.
actually,
I'm not sure if they're going to redo or continue with the Punisher. I wasn't a fan of the Punisher show. I don't like dude that plays on Walking Dead. I don't like him as an actor, kind of like you don't like Jake Gyllenhaal.
I agree with you on that. That dude, I'm not a big fan of his either. I thought he did okay as Punisher, but I'm not a fan of his acting style either. And I don't know about the other Netflix characters yet, and I didn't go look up anything because honestly, I want to see if they're going to maybe include some more cameos or something, or until they develop some more series. But I thought all the actors, with the exception of Punisher, were good in the Netflix series. And I love when I saw him and I knew it was him. I was so crazy when I saw that in No Way Home that they were going to include the Netflix series, at least, if nothing else, at the very least, it's Daredevil. We may not get the other characters back, but we're getting Daredevil.
Would you like a spoiler?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. I didn't think I would like She-Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
I love the She-Hulk show.
Really?
But they did a Daredevil spoiler on. She's trying to get her some clothes from this designer, and he's designing for the superheroes. And you see in a box, and they make it insane. It's the yellow Daredevil helmet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting. So maybe we'll get to see. All right. Yeah, great. See, that's what I love. I love that Disney has been smart enough with their Marvel universe. They've been making great decisions with their Marvel universe.
It's carrying Disney. I hate to say it like that, but it is.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Disney does have good movies come out. They're coming out with Little Mermaid soon. A lot of people's pissed off about it. It is what it is. I think it'll be a good movie because so far all the live action movies have been good, but it's just not carrying like Disney used to with their movies, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, no, Marvel is definitely carrying them, and even Star Wars a little bit, but not everything that Star Wars is producing. They're producing some great TV shows, but they're not doing so good on the movies.
What do you think about them trying to bring Venom in?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That was the other thing. Thank you for bringing that up. I kind of like that, too. I like that they included everything that Sony's doing under this thing that happened. So I don't really. Tom Hardy is Venom, though. I'm not really buying it. I watched both movies.
Well, Tom Hardy won't be Venom. He'll just have the black suit. That's how it happens in Spider-Man, at least in the comics and everything I've ever seen. He gets the symbiote on him. He becomes the Black Spider-Man. He starts losing control of how rough he is and how much he's holding back. And then it goes back to Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock pissed off at Peter for making him lose his job or making him lose a story, whatever. And both Venom and Eddie Brock has something against Peter Parker. But the way that they did on the No Way Home, or one of them at the end credits, Venom already knows who Parker is. It's like he's already had contact with him. So they might not end up doing the Black Spider-Man suit. They might intertwine with this multiverse, except for Venom itself changing or staying the same as it was in the Sam Raimi movies. the sentient. I can't say the word. The mind of
Symbiote. Yeah. Oh yeah, the sentience of the symbiote
is kind of clashing in the symbiote. So instead of having the Sam Raimi version and the Sony version, it's kind of combined it to where I believe they'll possibly make it to where, even though they've never met Peter Parker in our universe or whatever,
yeah,
they still have some kind of connection through the multiverse or something
that,
within that.
yeah. I don't know how they did Venom movies without Spider-Man. I didn't like that they did that either. I'm not a huge fan of Tom Hardy being Venom.
Venom does, from walking up the walls and all that crap, it's supposed to be because Spider-Man. And yes, they've added more symbiotes to the roster in the comic books and stuff. And I really don't know a whole lot about them. I kind of stopped at Carnage. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a reason that the symbiote or Venom himself looks like Spider-Man. That's because he was part of Peter Parker. So
Yeah.
those eyes are because of the Peter Parker suit. And for him to look like that just by choice, it was kind of like, it didn't make sense. But I just watch it as a movie. I
Yeah.
enjoy it as a movie. I like Tom Hardy.
I like Tom Hardy too. I just don't think he's a very good Venom.
Well, I think he is a good Sony Venom. I don't know how to explain it. See, the thing is, it's kind of like when they came out with Morbius and all this stuff. They're trying to make these characters anti-heroes, likable, before they become villains, or before they had their misunderstanding with Spider-Man that makes them villains or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's where they kind of screwed up with me with Tom Hardy, was he's too likable to be a bad guy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Tom Hardy. Yeah, you're right. Tom Hardy is too likable to be a bad guy. Although they were trying to make him an anti-hero, but Venom can't. I mean, I understand Venom eventually becomes an anti-hero, but he doesn't start out that way. He's one of Spider-Man's biggest nemesis.
Right.
And he doesn't have to really team up with Venom. Venom doesn't really become an anti-hero until him and Spider-Man and Venom have to team up to take out Carnage.
Something like that, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Please leave a comment and if I'm completely wrong on that. But yeah, so I did like that they included everything in No Way Home. Like, it's all come full circle. Like, okay, this is the multiverse, and they included everything in it. And I think that was the way to go. I think that was the way to go.
And everybody was watching it just for the end, to watch all the Spider-Mans fight together, and they did well. Being the big sissy I am, I teared up a little bit when Andrew Garfield saved MJ, and he could win Stacy, and he kind of blubbered a little bit. I was sitting there like, oh shit.
It was a great fight scene with those three Spider-Mans, and yeah, they each of them had their own little moments. And yeah, I also liked I didn't just like that he saved Tom Holland's MJ. I like that it was the same exact scenario where he lost when he lost Gwen Stacy. And I like how he catched her differently. Right. That was the big thing too. Like, I think, yeah, exactly. He learned that you can't just stop somebody, like that. You can't just do that, that you have to, cradle them. And that's, to me, was awesome that he caught her differently. Right. And the whole thing, like, that was really awesome to me, and it was definitely good. And even Tobey Maguire, I am not a big fan of Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, but I thought everybody did a great job in that movie.
I actually was a big fan of him in this movie.
Yeah.
I like the scruff.
I like he's the old man Spider-Man. He's the old man Spider-Man.
Right. And I mean, for me not to like him in the originals.
Yeah.
He's kind of like my favorite out of the three in this new movie.
Yeah, I mean, I still like Tom Holland, but yeah, he did both. He did good, and so did Andrew Garfield. I was really shocked how.
I liked his mentor aspect. Like, he was kind of.
Yeah. Being like, he was the old man, like, kind of teaching the other two younger Spider-Mans because he had been there. Yeah, absolutely. I like how obviously with Tobey Maguire, you had to age his Spider-Man or nobody was going to buy it. But I still like that they did that. I still like that they aged him, and that he's, it's been obviously, it was a long time between the end of his movies and when he gets picked up in No Way Home.
Right.
So the multiverse, we didn't watch Doctor Strange yet. We're gonna save most of the multiverse. Oh, by the way, Kevin Feige is the president of Marvel Studios, and without him, Disney would likely not be making any money. But so yeah, we're gonna be doing more episodes with Robby. Lots more comic book episodes. We'll definitely be doing a multiverse episode after we watch the Doctor Stranges, and with some of the other things coming out, we need to catch up. The Eternals. There's some movies that I need to catch up on, and then we'll be talking about where the MCU is at currently once we catch up, and where it might go, where we might see the multiverse go. And I think that's about it.
Well, I got one question for you.
Oh, absolutely.
What does the Scarlet Witch and Daredevil have in common?
I have no idea.
They both lack vision.
You know what? I just saw that on a meme the other day too. I can't believe it didn't trigger my memory.
I had to do it.
Yeah, I can't believe that. Yeah, and we'll get to see Scarlet Witch in the new Doctor Strange movie, which I also found interesting. How they're doing a lot of crossovers now, like seeing just having a standalone movie, and even the Spider-Mans are standalone movies. They could still be standalone movies. But I like how they're including people. There's a lot of crossover happening in the MCU right now, which I like.
They don't start crossing over everything where you feel like you got an incomplete movie.
Yeah.
That's what I'm always afraid is going to happen.
Yeah.
And right now with the Marvel universe, if you don't watch the shows they're bringing out on Disney Plus and stuff, you're going to be lost.
Yep.
I didn't watch WandaVision. I really tried.
Really? You didn't like WandaVision?
I could not get into it. And I Love Lucy and all that stuff. So, I mean, I figured I could get into it. I know what's going on and everything. It's just the fact I cannot watch it. I'm bored. So when I watched Doctor Strange recently, I was kind of like, well, I need to go back. But it was enough in Doctor Strange to let you know what happened in WandaVision for you to be able to follow the movie.
Yeah, well, that's good that they did that. But WandaVision, I highly recommend. It's weird. You're not going to understand what's going on, and that's the point. You won't understand until the end of the series when it all comes together. That's the big payoff, and you should watch it because I think WandaVision was one of the best ones. Also, I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I was right. The first season of that was a new Captain America, which was cool. That wasn't a replacement. That was like they just got a beefed up regular guy to try and play Captain America, which didn't work out. And that's a great series too. So watch that if you haven't yet. Of course, if you're still watching, then so much has been spoiled for you. So you should just go watch it so that way you know what we're talking about. We're gonna do more. We're gonna do more episodes with Robby. We're gonna do definitely some on the series that are on Disney Plus, and we're definitely gonna talk about the multiverse and where that might be going. The one last thing that I did want to say is that both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are under contract to play Spider-Man for more than just No Way Home. So they are under contract to play Spider-Man again, potentially. So we might see a lot more multiverse stuff before it's said and done. Both of them have multi-picture deals. And Tom Holland, I was doing some research on him, and I'm getting conflicting reports. So I'm going to do some more research and then hopefully be able to confirm some stuff. Because one thing I read says he doesn't want to do it anymore, Tom Holland. He says he doesn't want to do it anymore. He doesn't want to play Spider-Man into his 30s. And then there's another story that I found that said he would be happy to play Spider-Man for as long as possible. So I'm not really sure. Since I'm reading conflicting articles, I'm going to do some research on that. And then we'll
to have him as Spider-Man for a while. But it takes so much time to make these movies.
Yeah.
That you're lucky to get 3 movies out of an actor. It's like
who's supposed to be a kid. You got to think about that.
They get typecasted as well.
Yeah, but he's been in other. He's been in other stuff. He's been working almost round the clock. Tom Holland has, so he's getting other movies.
But you have people like Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
he's been around forever.
Yeah,
I never thought much of him before Iron Man. I mean, he had the drug scandals, prostitution,
Yeah.
all the shit. So I never thought he was going to amount to much more than what he was.
Yeah. Which was like a
Remember,
B-list actor.
he became one of the biggest stars.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated to see him go, but it was time for him to go.
Yeah, but he played, I mean, he was an adult. Like, that's what we were saying about Spider-Man, though. Spider-Man's supposed to be a young teenager through most of his Spider-Man days. And then into college, a little, into college, but not really much past college. And you're right. These movies, there's so long in between some of these movies that Tom Holland's he's young looking though, but he could potentially age out of it, or they're going to have to age Spider-Man up some. And the end of No Way Home was really an ending. It could have been an ending. I mean, that could be the end of his Spider-Man right there. You know what I mean? I did see speculation about the Gonzalez Spider-Man, the Hispanic Spider-Man. They might potentially be doing that maybe next. So,
well, I mean, I kind of missed the whole maybe 1 or 2, 3 movies in a series, and appreciate those movies. It goes back to like the Star Wars, The New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I mean, it was so much time between those movies and then the sweet sequels and then these newer ones that you were able to appreciate what they are.
Yeah.
The Marvel, the way it is, I mean, they're going to keep on pumping them out because they make money. But, I mean, I kind of wish that they would wait long enough for you to appreciate what they put out there as a good action movie, because I didn't think you'd get better than the Avengers when the first Avengers came out. I was like surprised that they were able to put so much on each character where you could actually had like it wasn't a character forgotten. Like they all got time to like it. And I mean they've done well throughout the whole thing. It's just the fact of
can they duplicate it? I think that's what you're wondering. Can they duplicate the success that they had with the first 23 movies? Because they built something with the first 23 movies. There was a beginning. It was going somewhere right from the beginning. It was going somewhere. And then, they went there. They finished off the story. Now we're in the same universe, but a new chapter.
See, what I was hoping they would do was in between the Infinity War, they would do everybody's sequel movies, like Thor sequel movies. Like if it was going to be 3 or 4 of them, hey, there they are. And then by that time we got Endgame, that was the end of the Marvel Universe as we know it, until they came out with something with whole different casts.
Yeah. See, I don't think we're going to get I don't think we're going to get much of that. I think we're going to see more connection, like with Benedict Cumberbatch and Chris Hemsworth, both remaining Doctor Strange and Thor through the first Avengers and now into what will be the second, chapter of the Avengers.
Movies. That's more than any of them has had as a single.
Well, except for Thor. Thor just had his 4th movie. So yes, the Avengers and Thor have both had 4 movies, and I think we're going to see. I think they're going to a new Avengers. I think we're going to see a new Avengers. What's that going to look like? I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing Thor and Doctor Strange as part of the new Avengers, the next, the second chapter Avengers, though, just like they were to the
Captain Marvel. That's been said in a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't like Captain Marvel. I don't like Brie Larson. I do not like the statements that she made before the movie. So I waited a long time to watch those movies. I got bored. I think I was sick that day. I was like, screw it. I'm going to watch it. And I absolutely loved the Captain Marvel movie.
Well,
there's character and stuff.
Her character, I mean, her teacher or whatever, who was Kree, I believe is what it is, being named Marvel is just, that was stupid.
Well, that's
like
not
that accurate. Is it? That's not what I've been told.
It is.
That's out of the comics.
It's out of the comics. The name Marvel is out of the comics.
That's the name of her teacher at the time.
I don't know that. I just know that's the name is out of the comics. I've read it in the comics and see there's different. There were different origins, different Captain Marvels and stuff in the past. So you had an actual Kree that got with her at one time, and that's how she got the power. And so, I mean, it all changes. Carol Danvers, I think is her name in the movies. I liked it. I thought they did pretty well, and
she's fine. I think she did fine. I think a Captain Marvel character, I think that's where you get into dangerous places. I think doing her origin story, I think having her come back and maybe do cameos in other movies and stuff. And obviously, you can use her to explore the Kree more and stuff like that. But it's the thing about Captain Marvel, it's that she's practically indestructible, and having superheroes, it's the same way with Superman. That's why I'm not a big Superman fan. I don't, you know what I mean? He's indestructible. Kryptonite is this one thing that can make him weak, and I think that's boring. And I think that's bad storytelling. So I don't like indestructible characters. I think that's too comic bookish. I like the fact that the people we get, even when we get mutants and stuff, they're going to be regular people. They're people with powers or people with special abilities and stuff.
Stan Lee wanted these mutants and these heroes to be going through common things. Speaking of Stan Lee.
Excellent. Yep. Yeah, and we miss him. What do you have
problems? He wanted Spider-Man to have acne and the girl problems and not be the coolest guy in school, because 9 times out of 10, the kids that were reading these books weren't the cool kids that were getting all the girls or getting all the guys. It was the dorky kids. It was the kids that had problems with their parents at home, being divorced or fighting and stuff. So he wanted to put that in these books. And I mean, I've always been more of a DC fan, but I have so much respect for Stan Lee for everything he's put into the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And into comic books, period. I mean, he's the godfather of comics.
Absolutely. Absolutely, he is. And without him, we wouldn't have the Marvel Cinematic Universe at all. He built these characters, and so far, they're doing a good job at paying homage to his comic book characters. Most of them are pretty accurate to the comics and stuff. Either one version or another. I mean, at this point, there's multiple versions of characters in the comics. There's so many different versions of some characters and stuff. So, but they're doing a great job. Thinking to one version of a character or another. The continuity. That's where Marvel beats DC. Continuity between their movies and this world that they've built.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do Black Panther. I do know. These people say that it was like a little teaser. And you really did. The teaser didn't tell you anything, but I like the Black Panther movies. I liked dude that played for Black Panther,
Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. But he did the most amazing job as Black Panther, man, and he's a really great actor.
That I've ever saw was somebody was interviewing him, and they're like, well, what do you think this is going to take you, or what is the next movie going to be like? And he just looks at her and he's like, I'll be dead. I'm dead.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I kind of like that they're going to be more Black Panther movies.
Yeah.
But I hope they do not continue with the T'Challa character and leave it as his, kind of like the jersey they hang up in the stadiums of the people that has passed.
Do you want a spoiler?
I figured it's his sister.
That it would be a good figure.
Right. But
which is accurate to the comic books too, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I'm not sure on that.
Oh, okay. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, viewers. But I believe that the sister eventually takes over for Black Panther at some point in time in the comic books. So if I'm not mistaken, that's what's happening in the new Black Panther movie. It should be his sister.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Absolutely, I think so too. And yes, it's a shame that we won't get more Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther because he's a fantastic actor. I think he could have done to Black Panther what Robert Downey Jr. did with Iron Man.
Well, I was afraid originally they were going to try to use the CGI like they did with Robert Downey Jr. when he was younger, and how they've done a lot of movies now making people seem like their younger selves or whatever. So I was afraid that they were going to try to put him in. And they still may do that to the point where they can kill off T'Challa to make it an honorable death.
Yeah, that might be possible.
They were going to continue him on and just not come out with a movie and just have him as a side character that would pop up every once in a while. And I would think that would be more disrespectful than anything.
I think so too. Yeah, I think it would be okay if they, did some CGI. I mean, with computers now, I'm sure they have enough of his voice that they could get him to say whatever they wanted him to say. So I wouldn't mind if some other person played the physical part of Black Panther, for the CGI, for the motion capture, and then just used his voice like it's him at the beginning of the movie to resolve him as Black Panther and to have his sister become next in line. I think that would be okay. But anything further than that, I agree with you. I think would be disrespectful to Chadwick Boseman. And yes, it is sad that I can't believe that he still did the movies. I can't believe he did the Avengers. I can't believe he still went through those movies while receiving treatment. And then once he knew that treatment wasn't going to be working and, he knew where it was going to end up, I can't believe he still finished the movies. That's an ultimate professional.
It is.
Well, we have talked for almost an hour, so I think we're going to call it there. Say it again.
It'll be a theme for that, ain't it?
Yes. Hey, that's okay. That's the way they're supposed to be. Organic conversations. Now we got off Spider-Man's a little bit, but that's okay. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is huge. We're going to have lots more episodes coming up with Robby, including the Disney series and the movies and where the movies are going to go. So, and we'll likely get some DC stuff in there when they do something that's worth a damn. Just like we did for the Batman. Batman was worth a damn. Go watch the Batman and then go watch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then you can continue to watch episodes that me and Robby have. Robby does not wish to be followed on social media, so there's nothing to announce for him. And again, you can follow Mayhemtainment we're on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Just search Mayhem Media and you can find us. Our sister show, the Boiling Point Podcast, which is what this shirt is. Of course, the logo's on the back side. The American Cross is on the front side. The American Cross designed by Robby. That's on bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. And I will get some Mayhemtainment shirts up on my other storefront, bonfire.com/store/JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z at the end of it and all lowercase. And that's where the Mayhem gear will be when I can actually sit down and have some time to make some and add it to the storefront. As soon as I have time to do that, I will be doing that. So look, keep checking the storefront because you never know when I might just be able to have a little bit of free time to do it because I don't have a lot of it. For the new Senior Marvel Correspondent, Robby, I am your host, JD. Oh, wait, one last thing. Marcus Frederiksen is going to play us out. I forgot to mention him in the last episode of the Boiling Point Podcast. Marcus Frederiksen, he does all the music. He plays us in and plays us out of every episode of Mayhemtainment and the Boiling Point Podcast. Check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Check out his music. Share out your favorite song. And now we're going to have the end.